So what I was going to talk about was how the new report card came in stating that kids in our educational system are getting dumber. No lie. There's a report on that. How high school seniors can't even meet the basic requirements of math, science, and reading. Can't even make it to a 4-year college readiness. That's how unprepared these students are here in the United States. And billions of dollars are being poured in to these educational systems. I wasn't talk about that. Just give you a little bit of summary of it. Go ahead and check it out. But what I do want to talk about is the censorship that the mayor of North Carolina, where the subway stabbing happened of that poor Ukraine refugee woman by a mentally ill black man. Now, why do I say censorship? Well, because it really isn't reported to the mainstream media. But the mayor of where this subway stabbing happened actually thanked the local media for not showing this out of respect of the family, the victim's family. As I was reading this, the one thing that came to mind was George Floyd and how there was no respect for George Floyd's family when they kept showing the video of him being pinned to the ground where he kept saying, "I couldn't breathe." They made commercials with subtitles of, I'm going to assume it's his breathing, with subtitles saying George Floyd couldn't breathe for 8 minutes. And you hear the breathing of it. So what I'm trying to get at, as I was reading this and that came to mind, this article actually spoke about it. This article brought up George Floyd and how his death was publicized. His death was something you should never forget. Which, I mean, a lot of people fell for it. I was one of them. I definitely fell for the George Floyd scam. But then you start reading exactly the reports. You start reading exactly what the news media didn't want to report. And once again, the narrative the media put out there was not good. So there was no respect for George Floyd's death. His death was being broadcasted throughout United States, maybe even outside the country, that caused riots, deaths, burnings, all kinds of stuff. But the mayor said, thank you to the local news for not reporting this, for not showing the video, for not talking about this out of respect of the victim's family, the Ukrainian refugee woman. That is very hypocritical. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because my last video was about trans man going to a Catholic school, shooting up the school, and ending his life while he also ended 2 other lives of children. And I talked about that. Is it mental illness or is it gun violence? Do we have to get guns under control? On my last video, I was insinuating that mental illness has way more to do than a gun. It's not about gun violence. It's about the mental illness that we have here in the United States. And this is another case of mental illness. He did not have a gun, but he did have a mental illness. Some reports of his family stated that when he went to prison and came out this time, he didn't come out right. That he said the government put a chip in his head. He said that people were after him. He was claiming a lot of crazy stuff. Well, mental illness plays a part in this. There was 2 GoFundMe pages. Both of them were deleted. On the first GoFundMe page, there was a little statement from this organizer stating that we need to fund some money for this murderer because this is unjust and is racist and it's something we gotta fight. Obviously, it was deleted. It was taken down by the GoFundMe website. And the second GoFundMe page that popped up was within the lines of blaming mental illness in the justice system and that he is not at fault for none of this. It was taken down as well. Now, it is crazy to me with those statements that they will blame it on racism, that this murderer is being prosecuted unjustly because of his race. The second statement talking about that he's not at fault, that it's his mental illness and the failure of the system that caused him to act the way he did. So no blame on the murder and his actions. Just throw the blame on something else. And that's what I saw in this article and what is being reported. Also, when he did it, in the video, you can hear him say, "I got the white girl." So it's clearly to me, it's not about race. And it shouldn't be about race. But they made it about race. Why? Because the mayor of the place where it happened, she did not want this to be broadcast. Her claim was to respect the victims, but if it happens to a black person, it's not going to be censored. It's going to be broadcast as much as they can. They're going to try to milk it as much as they can. The problem here is mental illness. Let's not forget about that. Let's focus on mental illness. So what I'm trying to get at is let's focus on mental illness. Just as my last post, I talked about mental illness. When this transgender person believes he is a woman when he's actually a boy, might be cause depression, might be on some medication, we don't know. But the thing is that he was suffering from some type of mental illness because gender dysphoria is mental illness. In this case, the Decarlos family was actually stating that he did not come out of prison the same. That family members even said that he had mentally ill issues, where he was even being violent toward his own family. So like while I was reading this article by JP Media, they also claimed that BLM were helping to put up a GoFundMe page, which were deleted. I did not see any trace of that. I don't know how they came up with the Black Lives Matter being involved in this. It wouldn't surprise me if they actually are, but as far as I could find, I couldn't find anything that they say, hey, BLM is actually helping this person. But yes, I would agree that the censorship, the media not wanting to talk about this, you can call it censorship. You can call it something that the corporate media doesn't want to talk about because it destroys their narrative. Which I would like to say that. Not because of race, but the corporate media does have an agenda. The politicians have an agenda. So they're trying to prosecute white people. It is not good narrative if they start showing black people targeting white people. It's just not a good look for them. And the mayor's statement shows that this is something that they don't want to talk about. But again, let's not make it solely on racism. Let's also focus on the mental illness that America is suffering. It is statistically said that America is the most heavily medicated country in the world. So not only we're getting dumber in school, but we're heavily medicated. And the politicians made it normal to accept mental illness. The politicians made it easier for crime to keep happening and somehow convinced the public that defunding the police is the best way to go about it, because the police are the problem. Not the mentally ill, not the criminals, but the police are the problem. White men are the problem. I'm just talking about this because it's something that was being suppressed. A news that was being suppressed for all the wrong reasons. Don't know what you guys think about that, but let me know.